I'm Amanda.
And I'm Mike. And
this is Saturday Morning Cereal.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Saturday Morning Cereal Podcast. I'm Mike here, joined with my co-host Amanda, and today we are discussing Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves.
Dungeons and Dragons, as Eddie Munson would say.
It is directed by John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein, and the writers are Jonathan Goldstein, John Francis Daly, and Michael Gillo. So, as the cast, we have Sophia Lillis as Doric, Justice Smith as Simon, Chris Pine as Ed Gein, Chloe Coleman as Kira, Michelle Rodriguez as Holga, Hugh Grant as Forge, Reggie Jean Page as Zerk, and Daisy Head as Sophina. So, this movie is about a charming thief and a band of unlikely adventurers embark on an epic quest to retrieve a lost relic, but things go dangerously awry when they run afoul of the wrong people.
Yeah, this was a really fun movie overall. I have no idea about anything that has to do with Dungeons and Dragons. Mike, you played a little bit, right?
Yeah, I was in a campaign for a little bit with my friends, and unfortunately I didn't get to finish that campaign, but I got a taste of what the game is like. So basically, to people who don't play, you start a campaign and you create a character, and you are guided upon a quest by a dungeon master, and the dungeon master is like the banker in Monopoly, and they just kind of handle everything, and they just want to guide you to the end goal of the quest. So you'll be in your little party with your other friends, the other people playing, and you'll pick a class of character, a species of character, and a backstory, and you go about your quest, and you get to make different decisions with your party, and you get to talk to different characters, and it's like improv, it's like writing. It is really a creative muscle that you work out. You work out everything. Like when we did our campaign, we each had to draw our own characters. We had to write up the backstory. There's a little bit of math involved, but if you have a great dungeon master, they really help you along.
So I could be somebody like Jessie the Cowgirl or Loki?
Yes.
In the game? Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, there's characters that basically every type of character in fiction you could fit into one of the character classes and play like that.
Okay. So, as far as, like, your knowledge of Dungeons & Dragons before this movie, obviously you played the game. My knowledge was just Netflix. Stranger Things.
Yeah, it's Dungeons & Dragons has been in different pop culture movies and shows, most notably Stranger Things, and maybe if you've heard of Big Bang Theory, I'm sure it was referenced, and other type of nerdy things. It is like the nerdiest thing you can do of being a nerd is play this game. It's like a rite of passage for nerds.
See, I had no idea. I thought it was a game based off Stranger Things.
Oh no. It's the other way around.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
this
interesting.
Game and Stranger Things does give it a lot of credit where it was viewed as almost satanic.
Yeah.
And it was kind of laughed at by people in that time period, and now in the 2020s, which we're in, it's universally loved, and it's more known about, and people don't look at it as strangely as they did.
I just know we have a game shop here, and I feel like the whole store is dedicated to games like Dungeons and Dragons, and this other like magic wizard game, I have no idea, but it is kind of cool that you can go to these game stores and buy stuff and make them your own. Like you can paint them and everything. That's cool.
Yeah, I follow this YouTube channel, and they'll take fictional characters and they'll create a character sheet for them.
That's cool.
So when you create a character, you get to decide how smart they are, how fast they are, how strong they are, if they're a charismatic or a shy person, how what kind of wisdom they have, and then all of that plays into the type of spells and abilities that you have.
Yeah, it's really like script writing for a movie or a show.
So
It's
like,
interesting.
if you were playing Buzz, you know that Buzz isn't the wisest toy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you would give him a low wisdom, but you would give him a high strength and high dexterity, and because he's
Yeah.
fast and strong, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he also has Space Ranger experience, so he would have that come into play as well.
Yes.
So I'll show you when we're done recording. We'll write up a few character sheets
That's cool.
for some characters, but I think you would get into it. So Amanda, after my little explainer and having seen this movie and knowing about Stranger Things, how it's played in like knowing about how Dungeons and Dragons is played in like Stranger Things, do you have any ambition to take on a campaign?
No. Honestly, I don't. And I know, and I'll explain why. I am just a really busy person at the moment. But that's not to say I wouldn't be interested in down the line trying it. But as of like right now, it just seems like a lot of work.
It is. It's a very big commitment. Campaigns can
Yeah.
take like 40 plus hours.
Yeah, as someone who I'm going back to school and everything, I just don't have time right now for it. But, maybe one day when we reach our goals and our dreams and we have some extra time, maybe.
Yeah, maybe when we get some more friends in the area,
Yeah.
or we move.
Yeah.
So, again, as someone who wasn't familiar with the game, was this movie accessible for you?
Yeah, it was. There were a couple of things that I was confused of. I literally just read the synopsis again before recording here because I didn't understand a lot of the story. I didn't understand a lot of the different types of characters that were in this movie. I was under the impression that this was all based off the game, which it really wasn't. And as someone who's never even really heard of the game, I appreciate that because for me, it was like walking into a modern day Monty Python movie. It was funny and the characters were extremely likable. I had a good time overall. Like I said, just a little confused over the story, but yeah, it was solid. It was entertaining.
So, did the humor remind you of anything? You just said Monty Python. I'm thinking of another movie.
Airplane.
Airplane?
Yeah.
It reminded me, this movie reminded me so much of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh.
My friend Josh posted on Facebook that this was like Guardians of the Galaxy, and I see it. I see the humor.
Yeah.
I see the unlikely found family aspect of it. I like the way that they defeated the villain, and it was like Guardians of the Galaxy, and then the first one, which is my favorite.
Yeah, you're right. Honestly, and yeah, because you even have Sophia Lillis's character. She's kind of like I don't know if she's like an outcast per se, but I just got like Mantis vibes off her.
And then like the barbarian, played by Michelle Rodriguez, Hilga.
Yeah.
It's just Drax. Like she's not very smart, and then this other character this paladin that they run into, from the Fae family. He can't take anything literally. He takes everything literally, just like Drax.
I thought Chris Pine bore a little resemblance to how Chris Hemsworth portrays humor in movies too. I don't know how to describe it really. It was just the way he like projected the humor and just I found a little similarity between that. It was funny. Yeah, and then Chris Pine's character is kind of like Peter Quill.
Yeah, but instead of like singing to himself, he's always singing to the party.
Yeah, that was a good observation. So, did the characters remind you of archetypes?
Yes. I mean, that's what Dungeons and Dragons is it's built upon archetypes. It's when the game was created, it was basically built off of Lord of the Rings, and like the Ranger class and the Wizard class and the Berserker class, they all have like Lord of the Rings characters equivalents. So, like we just said, Michelle Rodriguez's character Hilga was so much like Valkyrie and Drax, which are their movies like Berserker, and then you have the charismatic leader who comes up with schemes and is always trying to steal things, and it's like the thief, right? That would be like Star-Lord, and in this movie it'd be Chris Pine, and then you have the non-trusting like reserved character who would be like Sophia Lillis in this movie, the Druid, who you said is a lot like Mantis. I see a little bit of like Groot in her.
Oh yeah, that too.
Just like the acuity to nature and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean these characters are all archetypes, and you could look at another movie and kind of sort them into how they would fit into the Dungeons and Dragons universe.
I think Hugh Grant's character is definitely like a pirate.
Yes,
Yeah.
a lot. He remind me a lot of like who's Jeff Goldblum's character in the Ragnarok.
Oh, Grandmaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just this like super like sinister guy who really doesn't have a handle for violence, so he just has other people do it.
Yes.
Like there's this line in this movie where Hugh Grant says, "I don't want to see you die, which is why I'm going to leave the room." That would be something like the Grand Master would say,
That's
right?
definitely, yeah, like something Jeff Goldblum. I could see Jeff Goldblum delivering that line too. And I love Hugh Grant. I just want to take a second and shout out Hugh Grant because he's one of like mine and my dad's favorite English actors. He's great in The Night Manager with Tom Hiddleston, who all my viewers know I love Tom Hiddleston. But I love Hugh Grant in that show too. So maybe Mike, we can sit down and watch that one day.
Maybe we will.
Mm-hmm.
I like Hugh Grant, and I know that I think it's in the Bridget Jones' Diary too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this romantic comedy, but in the middle of it, they just throw in this like ginormous like fist fight. So I would watch it just to see that fist fight.
Yeah.
So now that we've kind of discussed like who these characters are, like, did you have a favorite? Did you see yourself in any of the characters?
Yeah, I definitely did not identify with any characters in this movie, but I did really enjoy Sophia Lillis' character, Druid. I just thought she was gentle, but she was also menacing, and she was a shapeshifter. She was awesome. Like, she was a very vital part of the team. Without her, I feel like they would have pretty much been screwed, except for the magician guy. Simon. I liked him too. Yeah. And one thing I really do liked is how Chris Pine's character and Michelle Rodriguez's character had this relationship where it wasn't romantic. It was more of a sibling type, and he addressed that at the beginning. And it was just kind of refreshing in a way that this guy who lost his wife and then this woman that came into his life and took care of his daughter, he didn't see her in a romantic way, and neither did she with him. I like that dynamic. It was refreshing.
I also like how, even though she was the strong, brooding one in the group, is that her romantic partner was a short king.
Yeah.
And then she was tall.
It's her type.
And what I really liked about Chris Pine's character is just how much of a cheerleader he was for everyone else, and how he says, "Yes, just believe in yourself. You can do this. We can do everything. We're all capable people, and we can do this. We just have to believe in ourselves." And he kind of had like imposter syndrome himself.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah.
And I really identified a lot with Simon. How Simon was like this guy who didn't have a lot of confidence, and he couldn't talk to women, and he had some skill, but he didn't have a mastery of it. And then at the end of the movie, he gets confidence based upon just seeing what he's capable of. And then he also can talk to the Drood character better.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah, I can definitely see Simon, like a lot of you in Simon.
Yeah. So Amanda, I don't know about you, but the way that these characters use their abilities was incredible in this movie. Like the sequence where Sophia Lillis was transforming into all these different animals and like running away from this castle, and how it was all done in one take was magnificent directing. Did anything stand out to you in this movie?
Yeah, actually, that whole part. I really liked how she just kept transforming into these different animals. I also like how she transformed into a worm, because she's just like, I just need to cut just a little hole and I can transform into a worm and then get the job done. So I like that. But yeah, and honestly, I had no idea it was one take.
It was one take, yeah.
That's incredible. I did not know that. Yeah, that was definitely a really good part, was when she was escaping. I like that one.
And what about all the great stuff they did with the portal gun?
I like that, but I also like the cemetery part with the dead people.
Yes.
That was really cool too. They mixed humor, like dark humor, and I appreciate dark humor. I'm weird like that, so that was really good.
I really love the sequence where they were just trying to find a guy who survived the battle long enough to know what happened.
Yeah.
And one of the first people they talked to is a guy who just got out of the bath and slipped on the tub
Yep.
and died.
Oh, it was so funny. Yeah, it was good.
So, how Hugh Grant is the villain in this movie. Do you feel like every character had proper motivation to stand up to him?
Yeah. I mean, that's still the part where I'm a little hazy on is what the general conflict of the plot was. But yeah, I mean, for me, I didn't really see what Chris Pine's character was capable of. I just know he was just good at like trickery. Um, Everyone else had powers, and Michelle Rodriguez's character had abnormal strength. I really liked her fighting sequences, so I knew she was gonna be okay. And Sophia Lillis's character, I was a little nervous about Simon, not gonna lie, but I'm really glad he pulled through. But yeah, as far as Chris Pine's character, I'm still a little. Is that his grand scheme? Is just trickery? Is that his superpower per se?
Your favorite character is Loki, and then you're just questioning this guy's ability to like trick people, to act as a distraction, to plan things.
I mean,
like,
what can I say? Loki is
he's
the
a
OG.
trickster. Chris Pine's character is a trickster.
Yeah.
And he's musical about it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, Loki is the ultimate trickster, but okay.
I would argue Bugs Bunny.
Oh, or Macaulay Culkin, Kevin.
Okay.
Anyway, we digress.
We digress.
So who do you think?
I think every character had great motivation to stand up to Hugh Grant. I think Hugh Grant being in league with the Red Wizards who killed Chris Pine's wife was good motivation. And the fact that he kind of took his daughter as well and was lying to her. I think that Sophia Lillis, her being the species she was and not really identifying with humans and trusting them, and then having her forest torn down. And then, Helga was just along for the ride too. Because she was Chris Pine's, like, wingman. And Simon, I guess, he just wanted a big mark, and this gave him the ability to do it. And, yeah, all the characters I felt had great motivation.
So, how did you feel about the creature and character design as somebody who is like a 3D modeler and special effects artist such as yourself?
Well, being a character designer is probably a dream job of mine. And I loved all these different creatures in this movie. I loved the owl bear, and I liked the gelatinous cube.
Oh, yes.
I loved the fat dragon.
Oh, yeah. You know what? You asked me what kind of character I identified most with? The fat dragon.
The fat dragon. The clumsy fat dragon who just gets stuck in everything.
Yep.
Who else? The panther was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like the panther. It was random, but it was good. And I really liked the red witch. What was her name again?
I forgot.
Yeah. But I liked her design, too. She was interesting. How her outfit kept changing colors.
Yes, it was because she was deceiving people. She
Yeah.
was like, I'm a red wizard this whole time. Who else did I like? Gelatinous cube.
Yeah.
The owl bear. Cube. The different animals the druid would turn into. What about all the different spells? Was there a really cool spell that you liked?
I think the portal thing they were doing was really cool. It was really interesting to see, like, hey, we can just the different ways you can utilize a portal.
Yes.
Like the different ways, the different, like, I don't know, ideas to get into like a chamber, a locked chamber. It was really, that was clever. I liked it.
Yeah. I enjoyed everything about the visuals of this movie, and speaking too about the soundtrack was really great as well.
Yeah, I like the music.
I like the music.
So you're more familiar with the game, the story, and overall just this movie in general. So if there's a sequel, what would you like to see out of it? Would you want these characters to return, or would you like to see a different set of characters and other places explored?
Well, that's the fun thing about Dungeons and Dragons is that you can create new characters and you can explore different parts of that world. So I would say I like to see a little bit half and half. I like to see, maybe Chris Pine or maybe Simon the Wizard. They go off and they have their own adventure and they meet new people. I like to see at least, a couple characters return, but I mean, this world is so big and diverse. I like to see new characters.
Okay. Fair
What
enough.
about what about you? Would you be interested in seeing more of this world, or do you think that these characters are a great venue into?
I could definitely see this being more just continuing on with the characters because there's relationships that are probably going to be explored, such as Simon and Sophia Lillis's character, and then maybe Chris Pine's character's daughter. Explore her and her ability at because she's a trickster too, just like her dad. She
Yeah,
can
she can
disappear and everything. So
turn invisible.
we could see her grown up and maybe getting into trouble herself and seeing what she's capable of. So that'd be interesting.
Yeah, that would be great. So, Amanda, would you recommend this movie to anyone, or is there a specific group you'd recommend this movie to?
Probably millennial nerds as the grand majority. People that are familiar with gaming, and I think someone like my dad would enjoy this movie, honestly, because the humor is the big draw of this movie, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the humor is definitely universally appealing. The characters are all great stepping stones into broader fantasy. I recommend this movie for anyone who enjoys that type of like Monty Python, Guardians of the Galaxy humor, or someone who loves fantasy, or someone who just likes
Loves Chris Pine.
who loves Chris Pine, or someone who just enjoys really good movies. Because I
Mm,
thought that this was a solid movie.
good.
So Amanda, I went onto ChatGPT and I made a character sheet for Jessie the cowgirl from Toy Story. So
Yeah.
here we go. Here's kind of what a character sheet looks like. So the name is Jessie, the race is human, and the class is a fighter. So that would be focusing on swords, knives, clubs, fists, any type of those things.
Ooh,
And the
yes.
alignment would be
Use knives.
chaotic good. So there's different moralities in Dungeons and Dragons, and a chaotic good is that you do the most good, but you do it through a chaotic way, like a no regards way for anything else that could happen. So, like neutral good would be like, lawful good would be like Captain America, and then chaotic good would be like Tony Stark, where you're good, but you're also kind of unhinged about it. And her background would be an outlander. Her ability scores would be a 16 in strength, that's really good, an 18 in dexterity, which means she's very agile, 14 in constitution, so she can take a couple hits, a 10 in intelligence, that's not very good, and a 12 in wisdom, but a 14 in charisma.
Oh, yeah.
So she's a very charismatic person, and her skills would be acrobatics, which is which plays off her dexterity, animal handling, which plays off of her wisdom, athletics, which plays off her strength, intimidation.
Mm.
Jessie can be very intimidating, which plays off her charisma, her perception. Jessie is very aware, that plays off of her wisdom, and she has survival skills, which plays off her wisdom.
Yeah.
So she can move up to 30 feet per turn. She has 45 hit points, and she has a armor class of 16, which is studded leather armor. She'd be equipped with her armor, a long bow, 20 arrows, a short sword, a whip, 2 daggers, an explorer's pack, and 5 gold pieces.
Dang. I want to
So-
cosplay as this.
Like fantasy Jessie. So she would have a archery fighting style, and she would be able to hit twice in one turn after a long rest. And as an outlander, Jessie is accustomed to life in the wild and can find food and water for herself and up to 5 other people each day. She can also navigate through the wilderness without becoming lost.
That just hits it all on the head of just her.
Yeah, isn't it cool?
Holy crap!
So I was just saying, you can take any character and just throw them into this, and they would somehow fit. So I will just talk about Buzz for a second. So Buzz Lightyear, his race would be a Warforged. So it'd be a sentient, self-aware construct created for a specific class. So he would be a paladin, much like Zerk was in this movie. His alignment would be lawful good, so he's a goody two-shoes.
Yeah.
His background would be a soldier.
Yeah.
So he would have an 18 in strength, that's really strong.
Yeah.
A 16 in dexterity, that's really good. A 14 in constitution, that's pretty fair. But only a 10 in intelligence.
Yeah.
Not the brightest laser in the Starfleet.
Yeah.
A wisdom of 12 and a charisma of 16. Because Buzz is a leader.
Yeah.
His skills would be athletics, insight, intimidation, perception, and, just like Jessie, survival. So he would have a class 18 armor, which would be plate armor. He'd have 60 hit points, and he would be just as fast as Jessie at 30 feet. So he would have plate armor, a great sword, a javelin, a shield, a holy symbol, an explorer's pack, and 5 gold pieces.
Wow.
So his features and traits: divine sense. As an action, Buzz can detect the presence of undead, fiends, or celestials within 60 feet on him. Lay on hands. As an action, Buzz can touch a creature and restore a number of hit points equal to his paladin level times 5. He can use this feature a number of times equal to his charisma modifier after a long rest. Fighting style would be defense. While wearing armor, Buzz gains a +1 bonus to his armor class. Let's see here. Channel divinity, sacred weapons. Buzz can imbue his weapons with holy power, adding his charisma modifier times 3 to his attack roll for 1 minute. Or of protection. Buzz and friendly creatures within 10 feet of him gain a bonus to their saving throws equal to his charisma modifier. So a saving throw is basically how you avoid taking critical hits.
Oh.
How you avoid taking damage.
Dang.
So Buzz would just power up everyone around him. He would be leaving people, and they would see him as a leader.
ChatGPT is scary.
Yeah.
How amazing it is.
So maybe after you finish school, maybe we'll get some friends together and we can all play a Toy Story character.
That'd be so cool.
And do a campaign.
Oh my gosh.
See, isn't this cool?
Yeah, I didn't know we could. Okay, see here, I thought I had to choose like some like knight or something and go with. Okay, I'm sold.
Okay, yeah, we have a character arc here. We've turned her from a non-believer to a believer.
Oh wow! Hey guys, so what we just did, leave us a comment if you guys have done something like turning a character like Jessie or Buzz into a fantasy character in a game like this, or who you are if you're playing this game. Like, what's your character? What are they about? We want to know.
Yeah,
let
us know.
And with that does it for our Dungeons and Dragons review. I know we finally got to the theater to see it, so it was good. We really enjoyed it overall. We were amused, at least I was. And Mike, you really enjoyed just seeing this fantasy game on screen.
Yes, please go see this movie if you're a fan. If you're on the edge of thinking about seeing it, please do. It hasn't made its money back yet, and we want to see these characters more, this world more, so please go see the movie in theater, and if you can't make it to theater, rent or buy this movie. It's great.
Absolutely. And I hope you guys all have a good week, and we will talk to you next time.